The Time-Traveling Teapot by the Fairy of Tales. Once upon a time in a cozy old house, Lila found a teapot, small as a mouse. It gleamed and it sparkled, it was quite a sight, but little did she know, it held magic inside. With a curious glint in her bright, brown eyes, Lila poured some tea. To her surprise, the room started spinning, she held on tight, and in the blink of an eye, she was out of sight. Lila found herself in a land far away, where people wore tunics and danced all day. She looked at her teapot, now old and worn, it had brought her to a time long gone. She explored the market, filled with strange things, and met new friends who had feathers and wings. But when she poured tea, it was time to leave, the teapot was ready for a new adventure, she believed. In a kingdom of castles and knights so bold, Lila arrived in a time of stories untold. She marveled at the grandeur of the medieval age, and met a brave knight, Sir Bartholomew Sage. They rode on horses and jousted with grace, but when the tea was poured, it was time to leave the place. The teapot was ready for another leap, to a new era where history runs deep. Lila found herself in a land of cowboys and gold, where the sun blazed hot and the stories were told. She met a sheriff with a heart of gold, and together they searched for treasures untold. But when the tea was poured, it was time to go, the teapot was ready for a brand new show. To a time where adventure was always near, Lila and her teapot had nothing to fear. In a time of jazz and flapper dresses so grand, Lila found herself in a lively bandstand. She danced the Charleston and laughed with glee, in a world where everything was wild and free. But when the tea was poured, it was time to fly, the teapot was ready to reach for the sky. To a time of wonder and endless fun, Lila and her teapot were never done. Lila and the teapot soared through the years, to a future where technology appears. They saw flying cars and robots galore, and met friendly aliens who wanted to explore. But when the tea was poured, it was time to roam, the teapot was ready to find a new home. To a time where dreams come true, Lila and her teapot knew what to do. After countless adventures and sights to behold, Lila poured some tea and felt quite bold. The room spun around, and she closed her eyes tight. When she opened them again, she was back in the light. The teapot sat quietly, as if it had done its part, taking Lila on a journey that captured her heart. She smiled at the teapot, now old and worn, for it had shown her a world where magic was born. Lila learned that magic can be found in a teapot small, and that adventures await, whether big or small. She treasured the memories of each time-traveling pour, and knew that the teapot held so much more. For every sip of tea held a world to explore, and the teapot was a key to unlock the door. To places and times beyond her wildest dreams, Lila's teapot was more than it seems. Lila realized that with a sprinkle of imagination's dust, the world becomes magical, in it you can trust. She could travel anywhere, near or far, with the power of her mind, like a shining star. The teapot was a reminder of the wonders within, and Lila knew that her adventures would never thin. For in her heart, she held the key, to unlock the magic and set her spirit free. Lila and the teapot became the best of friends, together they journeyed to the world's far ends. They laughed and they danced, in eras old and new, knowing that their bond was strong and true. For the teapot held the power to ignite Lila's imagination, shining ever so bright. And in return, Lila gave the teapot care, for their adventures were a wondrous, magical pair. Lila dreamed of the adventures yet to come, of the places she'd visit, and the friends she'd become. She knew that with the teapot by her side, there was no limit to the worlds she'd ride. So she closed her eyes and made a wish so true, for more time-traveling escapades to pursue. And as she poured tea into the teapot small, she knew that adventure awaited her call. The teapot may be small, but its magic was grand, taking Lila to lands across the sand. And as she held it close, she whispered with glee, "Thank you, dear teapot, for setting my spirit free. For the magic of adventure will never end, with the teapot as her faithful, timeless friend." And so, the story of Lila and her teapot so bright, continues on, filled with wonder and light.